accounts are destined to remain small. I have seen this lie destroy more traders than any market loss ever could. But I will tell you this truth. A disciplined trader with skill, patience, and a clear method can take a small account and build it into a substantial capital base. It begins with understanding. One simple fact: scaling is not about luck. It is about process. Every step you take must be deliberate. Every trade must be controlled. And every decision must respect both your system and your capital. Scaling starts with small trades, trades that you can manage, trades that teach you control. If you cannot protect $100, you cannot protect $1,000. If you cannot manage fear and greed with $500, you will not manage them with $5,000. This is the training ground. Here, you learn to take losses without panic, to take profits without overconfidence, to follow your rules when your instincts scream otherwise. Every small win is a brick, every disciplined trade a foundation. Build this first, and the structure for larger capital will be secure. The first principle of scaling is risk management. Never risk more than a small percentage of your account per trade. -1% or 2% is enough. This is not conservative. This is survival. Scaling is not about chasing the biggest win today. It is about surviving tomorrow and compounding gains steadily. When your account grows, you gradually adjust your trade size in proportion to your capital. This is the core of scaling. Increasing exposure without increasing risk beyond what you can psychologically handle. Once you have mastered small trades, the next step is consistent compounding. This is where a small account can start growing meaningfully. Reinvest a portion of your profits into the account while maintaining the same risk limits. Do not withdraw everything. Leave enough capital in the account to continue building. This method turns modest gains into larger capital over time. And the key is patience. The market does not rush, and neither should you. Compounding is slow at first, but once discipline is built, it accelerates, and the results speak louder than any shortcut ever could. A powerful tool for scaling is the prop firm. Many traders fail to see the advantage because they misunderstand the rules. A prop firm allows you to trade larger sums than you have, while enforcing strict limits on risk and drawdown. But here is the crucial point. You must first prove you can trade a small account with discipline. Prop firms amplify your profits. Yes, but they also amplify mistakes. You cannot bend the rules, you cannot overtrade, and you cannot let emotion dictate decisions. Only disciplined traders who follow their plan without deviation benefit from these opportunities. Before approaching a prop firm, understand your edge. Know your system, your win rate, your average risk-reward ratio, and your style of trading. Prop firms are not a shortcut to riches. They are a tool for those who have proven themselves. Start with the smallest allocation, trade within the limits, and demonstrate consistency. Once you do, you can increase your capital exposure step by step. The prop firm allows you to leverage skill, not luck. And that is the true advantage of scaling through this method. For self-funded accounts, scaling requires incremental growth and diversification. Start with a small, manageable account. Grow it gradually by compounding profits. When your account reaches a comfortable level, you can diversify into other instruments or markets using the same rules and strategies. This spreads risk while increasing opportunities for profit. Remember, scaling is not about gambling. It is about measured growth. Each step forward must be justified by your skill, your consistency, and your ability to manage risk. Psychology is as important as strategy. As your account grows, your emotional exposure grows too. Fear and greed magnify when more money is at stake. The trader who panics at $500 will panic at $5,000. The trader who chases at $500 will chase at $5,000. This is why scaling gradually is essential. Your mind must learn to handle increased responsibility before your capital increases. Discipline at small levels translates directly to discipline at higher levels. Each stage is a test. Pass it and you grow. Fail it and losses compound. The mathematics of scaling are straightforward. Trade a small percentage of your account, reinvest profits, and gradually increase position size as your capital grows. But mathematics alone is useless without discipline. You can have the perfect formula, but if emotion overrides reason, your growth halts, or worse, it reverses. The market does not care about desire or ambition. It only reacts to skill, patience, and execution. True scaling is a balance between calculated risk and emotional control. Let us consider a practical approach. Suppose you start with a $500 account. You risk 2% per trade, or $10. You have a system that wins 60% of trades, with a risk-reward ratio of 1:2. Over time, consistent application of this method allows your account to grow steadily. As your account reaches $1,000, you adjust position size proportionally, never exceeding your comfort level. You compound gains, keep losses small, and repeat the process. In time, your account doubles, triples, and grows beyond what seemed possible when it was just $500. This is the power of controlled scaling. Many traders fail at this stage because they allow impatience to dictate decisions. They see opportunity, increase risk too fast, or abandon the rules that made their account successful. This is where most accounts blow up. Scaling is not about speed, it is about controlled progression. Treat each step as a test. Have you followed your rules? Can you manage losses without panic? Can you increase position size responsibly? Only after passing these tests should you take the next step. Scaling also requires a long-term mindset. You are not trying to become rich overnight. You are trying to turn skill and discipline into capital growth. Each successful trade, each careful adjustment, each reinvested profit builds toward the larger goal. By focusing on consistency rather than luck, by respecting your rules rather than chasing immediate gains, you create a framework where small capital grows into something significant. This is not theory, it is the method that every successful trader follows. In the end, scaling from small to large capital is a combination of skill, discipline, patience, and opportunity. Small accounts teach lessons, prop firms amplify gains for disciplined traders, reinvestment compounds profits, and psychological mastery ensures longevity. The trader who respects these principles can turn modest capital into meaningful wealth, step by step, trade by trade. It is not easy, but it is achievable. And the reward is not only in the profits you make, but in the mastery you gain over yourself and your trading process. Once you have established discipline on a small account, the next step is to strategically increase your trade size without overexposing yourself. Many traders make the mistake of jumping too fast. They see a streak of wins and convince themselves they can handle more risk than they actually can. This is where scaling must be methodical. You begin by increasing your position size in small, manageable increments, always in proportion to your current capital and psychological comfort. If your account doubles, consider increasing trade size by a fraction, not the full double. This way, growth is controlled, and your mind learns to handle the increased responsibility without panic. A key principle in scaling is risk per trade. Even as your account grows, you must maintain a strict risk limit, typically 1 to 3% per trade, depending on your system and comfort level. The larger your account, the more a single trade can hurt emotionally. By sticking to a consistent risk percentage, you protect yourself from devastating losses while still allowing your account to grow steadily. Discipline here is everything. No impulsive decisions, no chasing the market, no increasing risk out of greed. Reinvesting profits is the next tool in scaling your capital. After a winning streak, resist the urge to withdraw everything. Instead, reinvest a portion of your profits back into your account. This controlled reinvestment allows your trading capital to grow faster than your original deposits. For example, if you turn $500 into $800, you might withdraw $100 for safety, but leave $200 in the account to compound. Over time, this method turns small gains into meaningful capital without dramatically increasing your exposure or risk. Another powerful way to scale is to leverage prop firm opportunities, but only after demonstrating consistent success on your small account. Prop firms provide access to larger power, capital, often 1050 times what you could personally trade. But they come with strict rules, daily loss limits, maximum drawdowns, and risk per trade. You cannot break these rules without being removed from the program. The trader who follows the rules, remains disciplined, and applies a proven system will see their profits multiplied far faster than through a self-funded account. The trick is preparation. Know your edge, document your trades, and practice on smaller capital before attempting higher leverage. Trade selection becomes increasingly important as your account grows. You cannot treat all trades equally when the stakes are higher. Focus on setups that offer high probability and favorable risk-reward ratios. Avoid impulsive trades or those that feel too good to miss. With larger capital, even small mistakes can be costly. The art of scaling is not in chasing every opportunity, but in choosing the right ones and executing them with precision. Scaling also requires tracking performance and adjusting systematically. Keep a trading journal with entries for every trade: entry, exit, size, rationale, and emotional state. Review your results weekly or monthly to identify patterns. Are you consistently overtrading? Are certain setups more profitable than others? Are losses occurring at predictable moments of emotional weakness? This data allows you to make incremental adjustments while keeping risk controlled. Scaling is not about guessing. It is about learning and improving as your account grows. Diversification is another tactic for scaling. Once you have mastered one market, instrument, or strategy, consider applying your system to others. This spreads risk and provides additional profit opportunities. For example, if you are profitable trading a single stock or forex pair, you might expand to correlated instruments or additional markets with similar setups. The goal is to grow your capital while keeping risk proportional. Diversification should be gradual. Never overextend into unfamiliar territory without preparation. Position sizing must also evolve as your account grows. Use tools like fixed fractional sizing or volatility-adjusted sizing to scale intelligently. A $100 position in a $500 account might be appropriate early on, but as your account reaches $5,000, your position size should increase proportionally to account for the larger capital base without over-leveraging. This ensures that growth is smooth, controlled, and sustainable. Psychology remains the backbone of scaling. Fear and greed intensify as account size grows. The larger your capital, the more pressure you feel to protect it or make it grow quickly. Scaling tests your discipline, your patience, and your ability to follow your plan under stress. Many traders fail not because of lack of skill, but because they let emotion override strategy. To scale successfully, you must treat each trade the same, regardless of account size. Maintain the habits that made your small account profitable. Consistency at larger scales is the difference between success and failure. Scaling is also about learning from mistakes without letting them derail you. Even experienced traders will experience losses while increasing capital. The difference is how they handle them. Take losses as lessons, analyze mistakes, and adjust your process, not your rules accordingly. Avoid emotional reactions like doubling down, revenge trading, or abandoning your strategy. Each loss, managed correctly, becomes a stepping stone for higher profits. For traders looking to move from a small account to larger profits, another critical step is gradual withdrawal and reinvestment strategy. Once your account has reached a comfortable level, you can consider taking a portion of profits for safety, while leaving a significant portion in the account to compound. This reduces psychological pressure knowing you have secured some gains, while still allowing your trading capital to grow steadily. Scaling is about controlling exposure, not risking everything for one big win. Finally, remember that scaling is not linear. Growth will come in waves. Some weeks your account will gain steadily. Other weeks losses may reduce progress. This is normal. The key is consistent application of risk management, compounding, and disciplined execution. Small, steady steps compound faster than sporadic leaps. Scaling is a marathon, not a sprint. The trader who understands this will turn small beginnings into a robust, profitable trading account over time. Once your account has reached a level where small trades feel routine, the challenge becomes managing larger positions and maximizing profits without losing control. This is where most traders fail. They have grown their capital, but their psychology has not caught up. Scaling at this stage requires discipline, precise risk management, and careful selection of trades. Never let the size of your account dictate reckless behavior. Each trade must be calculated, consistent with your system, and proportional to your capital and comfort level. At higher capital levels, position sizing and risk per trade are critical. Even if your account is 10 times larger, your risk per trade should remain within a controlled percentage, often 1 to 2%. The goal is not to chase dramatic gains, but to protect the account while allowing compounding to work. Overexposing yourself can erase months of careful growth in a single impulsive trade. Discipline in size ensures that profits compound without magnifying losses beyond what you can psychologically handle. Advanced compounding is another key to scaling profits. With larger accounts, You can start reinvesting a portion of profits into additional trades while still keeping risk limits tight. For example, after a winning streak, you may allocate extra capital to high probability setups or diversify into correlated markets, spreading risk while enhancing potential gains. Compounding profits intelligently accelerates account growth without introducing unnecessary emotional stress or over-leverage. Prop firms remain an excellent tool at this stage, but only if approached correctly. With larger personal accounts or funded allocations, you can access significant capital to trade, magnifying profits without risking your own money disproportionately. Follow the rules meticulously. Maximum drawdowns, daily limits, and position size rules exist for a reason. The disciplined trader uses these rules as a framework to grow steadily. Those who break them risk losing both capital and opportunity. Prop firms, when used correctly, become a lever to scale faster while minimizing personal risk. At this stage, trade selection becomes more critical than ever. Focus on high-probability setups with favorable risk-reward ratios. Avoid impulsive trades based on market noise or emotion. Larger accounts amplify every mistake, so only take trades that fit your system perfectly. Over time, selective precision leads to consistent profits, compounding growth, and minimized drawdowns. Scaling is not about trading more. It is about trading smarter. Tracking your performance systematically is now essential. Maintain a detailed journal with all trades, including entries, exits, size, and rationale. Analyze your wins and losses weekly to detect patterns or weaknesses. Are there recurring mistakes? Are certain setups consistently profitable? Are emotional decisions creeping in? Scaling successfully requires constant self-monitoring and adaptation while keeping your system intact. Without this feedback loop, even large accounts can stagnate or reverse. Psychology remains the foundation of successful scaling. As capital grows, so does the pressure. Fear of losing large sums and greed for faster growth can sabotage your discipline. The trader who scales successfully treats each trade with the same mindset as when the account was small: controlled, deliberate, and unemotional. Mastering psychology ensures that scaling is not a gamble but a predictable process of growth. Diversification and multiple income streams also play a role in advanced scaling. Once your core strategy is proven, apply it to additional markets or instruments that share similar behavior. For example, a trader successful in Forex might expand into commodities or indices using the same methodology. Diversification spreads risk, allows smoother growth, and increases profit potential without fundamentally increasing exposure per trade. Even with large accounts, mistakes will happen. The difference is how they are handled. Take losses calmly, analyze them objectively, and adjust where necessary, but never abandon the system that has grown your account. Revenge trading, chasing losses, or over-leveraging is the fastest route to disaster. Scaling is about compounding success and protecting your capital, not seeking dramatic wins. Each loss must become a lesson, not a trigger for panic. At the highest level of scaling, capital protection becomes as important as profit generation. A large account is valuable, not just for what it can earn, but for the flexibility and opportunity it provides. Protect your capital like the foundation of a building. Every decision should prioritize sustainability, risk control, and consistent growth. Only by preserving what you have can you continue to scale and take advantage of opportunities when they appear. The climactic truth of scaling is that it is as much about personal mastery as financial growth. The trader who turns a small account into a large one has not only grown their capital, they have grown themselves. Patience, discipline, strategy, and psychological control compound just as powerfully as profits. The real reward is not the number in the account, but the skill, confidence, and resilience developed along the way. To scale successfully, remember these principles. Start small, master risk management, and compound profits intelligently. Reinvest profits, use prop firms judiciously, diversify strategically, and maintain discipline at every step. Focus on high probability trades, manage your emotions, and protect your capital. Every stage of growth is a test of skill and psychology. Pass these tests consistently, and small accounts transform into substantial, profitable ones. Scaling is not easy, and it is never guaranteed, but it is achievable. The market rewards preparation, discipline, and patience more than raw ambition. Step by step, trade by trade, profit by profit. A small account grows into something meaningful. You do not need luck, you need method. You do not need shortcuts, you need consistency. The trader who masters themselves, their system, and their risk will turn modest beginnings into financial success. Remember this final truth. The size of your account is limited only by your skill, discipline, and patience. Control your mind, follow your rules, and the market will reward your preparation. Scaling is a journey, not a race. Each step builds upon the last. Each decision compounds your capital and your confidence. Those who endure, who apply themselves with discipline, and who embrace the process will discover that small accounts can indeed become large, profitable, and transformative, not just financially, but personally. Master your capital, master your mind, and scale deliberately. Every step forward is earned, every trade a test, and every increment in profit a reflection of your mastery. The journey from small to large accounts is challenging, but it is also the ultimate proof of your growth as a trader. Grow your skills, grow your discipline, grow your account, and the profits will follow. Remember this final truth. The size of your account is limited only by your skill, discipline, and patience. Control your mind, follow your rules, and the market will reward your preparation. Scaling is a journey, not a race. Each step builds upon the last. Each decision compounds your capital and your confidence. Those who endure, who apply themselves with discipline, and who embrace the process will discover that small accounts can indeed become large, profitable, and transformative, not just financially, but personally. Master your capital, master your mind, and scale deliberately. Every step forward is earned, every trade a test, and every increment in profit a reflection of your mastery. The journey from small to large accounts is challenging, but it is also the ultimate proof of your growth as a trader. Grow your skills, grow your discipline, grow your account, and the profits will follow. If you're ready to take your skills to the next level and challenge yourself, check the link in the description for a recommended prop firm where disciplined traders like you can start scaling with real capital. Don't forget to like this video, share it with fellow traders, and check out our other videos to continue building your trading mastery. Your journey to scaling bigger profits starts here, step by step, trade by trade, with discipline leading the way.
Have you ever wondered why there are nights when your body lies still, yet your mind seems to be running a marathon? The more you try to sleep, the more awake you become. The more you seek peace, the more you feel something inside you stirring, as if someone is quietly but persistently knocking. Perhaps that is not the noise of anxiety, but the voice of the soul, calling you back home. We often think sleep is merely rest, but Carl Jung saw it as a spiritual ritual, where the soul is allowed to step away from the roles it plays and return to its true essence. When the night falls, the unconscious begins its work, healing, rearranging, sending messages through dreams, and sometimes speaking directly to you through silence.
ابدأ حركاتك مع
Your trades from last week. You'd study the patterns, the price action, the mistakes that cost you money. But then life happened, didn't it? Maybe you slept in. Maybe you convinced yourself you deserved a break. Maybe you just felt overwhelmed and didn't know where to start. And now here you are, Monday morning, feeling that familiar weight in your chest, that quiet panic, that voice whispering that you're falling behind while everyone else is getting ahead. I've been there, more times than I care to admit. And I'm going to tell you something that might surprise you. This moment right here, this feeling you have right now, this is actually one of the most valuable moments in your entire trading journey. But only if you understand what I'm about to share with you. Before we go any further, make sure you check the video description below. I've put together 2 resources specifically for people in your position right now. The first is my ebook, Thinking Like Jesse Livermore, Mastering the Market with Discipline, Patience, and Risk. The second is the Livermore Journal, a 90-day trading psychology workbook that will help you build the habits you keep telling yourself you'll start. The links are right there in the description. Get them now, because everything I'm about to tell you builds on the foundations laid out in those books. And listen, after you finish this video, I want you to do 3 things. First, leave a comment below and tell me honestly what stopped you from studying this weekend. Not the excuse, the real reason. Second, go watch the other videos on this channel because I've already covered the specific techniques you need to master. And third, share this with another trader who needs to hear this message. Someone who's struggling just like you are right now. Because here's what I've learned in all my years in the market. We're all fighting the same battles, and we need to stop pretending we're not. Now, let's talk about what really happened this weekend. You didn't fail because you lack intelligence. You didn't fail because you don't care about trading. You failed because you don't yet understand the most fundamental truth about success in the market. The market doesn't care about your feelings, your intentions, or your excuses. The market operates on principles that are completely indifferent to human emotion. When I started trading, I thought success was about being smart. I thought it was about having some special insight that other people didn't have. I thought if I could just figure out the secret formula, I'd never lose again. And you know what happened? I lost everything, not once, but multiple times. I went from making millions to being completely broke, and each time, I told myself the same lies you're probably telling yourself right now. I'll study next weekend. I'll be more disciplined starting Monday. This time will be different, but it never was different. Not until I learned the lesson I'm about to share with you. The reason you didn't study this weekend has nothing to do with time management. It has nothing to do with being lazy. It has everything to do with the fact that you haven't yet connected the pain of staying where you are with the pleasure of becoming who you need to be. Let me explain what I mean. Right now, in this moment, you feel bad about not studying. You feel guilty. Maybe you feel like you're letting yourself down, but that feeling isn't painful enough yet. It's uncomfortable, sure, but it's not the kind of pain that forces change. You know what is painful enough? Losing money. Watching a trade go against you because you missed a pattern you should have recognized. Feeling that sick sensation in your stomach when you realize you just made the exact same mistake you made last week. That's the kind of pain that creates change. And here's the thing. If you don't study, if you don't prepare, if you don't do the work, that pain is coming. It's not a question of if, It's a question of when. I remember a weekend in 1906. I had just made a fortune shorting Union Pacific before the San Francisco earthquake. I was on top of the world. I had money, respect, and a reputation as one of the shrewdest traders on Wall Street. And that weekend, I convinced myself I'd earned a break. I didn't study. I didn't prepare. I just enjoyed my success. The following week, I got into a position based purely on feel, on instinct, on the confidence that came from recent wins. And I lost more money in 3 days than most people made in a year. Not because the market changed, not because some unexpected event occurred, but because I wasn't prepared. I hadn't done the work. I had let my recent success convince me that I was beyond the need for preparation. I've made that mistake more than once. And I'm telling you this so you don't have to learn it the hard way like I did. Here's what I want you to understand. The traders who win consistently, the ones who build real wealth in the market, they're not smarter than you. They're not luckier than you. They don't have some secret advantage you don't have. What they have is a system, a routine, a set of habits that they follow religiously, regardless of how they feel. They study when they don't feel like studying. They prepare when they'd rather relax. They do the boring, unglamorous work that nobody sees. And they do it because they understand something crucial. In trading, you're not competing against other traders. You're competing against your own worst impulses. Your own tendency to take the easy path. Your own willingness to settle for less than you're capable of achieving. So what do you do now? How do you turn this moment of regret into something productive? First, you need to stop beating yourself up. Guilt is useless. Regret is useless. The only thing that matters is what you do next. And what you do next is this. You make a decision. Not a wish, not a hope, not an intention. A decision. You decide right now, in this moment, that you are going to become the kind of trader who does the work. Not because you feel like it, not because it's convenient, but because that's who you are. That's your identity now. You are a trader who prepares. You are a trader who studies. You are a trader who does whatever it takes to master this craft. Let me tell you what that looks like practically. Starting today, you're going to establish a routine. Not an ambitious, complicated routine that you'll abandon in 3 days. A simple routine that you can maintain even when you don't feel motivated. Every single day. Before you even think about placing a trade, you're going to spend 30 minutes reviewing. Reviewing yesterday's trades. Reviewing the patterns that are setting up. Reviewing your mistakes and your wins. 30 minutes. That's all. If you can't find 30 minutes in a day, you're not serious about trading. You're serious about the idea of being a trader, but you're not serious about actually doing it. And the market has a way of exposing that kind of self-deception very quickly and very expensively. Here's what I did when I finally got serious about my preparation. I started keeping a journal. Not just a record of my trades, but a record of my thinking. Why did I enter this position? What was I seeing that made me believe this was the right move? What was my plan if the trade went against me? And then, after the trade closed, whether it was a winner or a loser, I would review that journal entry. I would compare what I thought was going to happen with what actually happened. And over time, I started to see patterns. Not just in the market, but in my own behavior. I started to see the mistakes I made over and over again, the assumptions that cost me money, the emotional reactions that led to bad decisions. And once I could see those patterns, I could start to change them. That journal became more valuable to me than any tip, any insider information, any market analysis, because it taught me about the one variable I could actually control, myself. Now, I can already hear some of you thinking, but Jesse, I don't have time for all this. I have a job. I have family responsibilities. I can't spend hours every day studying the market. And you know what? You're right. You can't. But that's not what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to be honest about what you want. If you want to dabble in trading, if you want to place a few trades here and there and hope you get lucky, then fine. You don't need to study. You don't need to prepare. Just understand that you're gambling, not trading. And the odds in gambling always favor the house. But if you want to actually make money consistently, if you want to build real wealth through trading, If you want to transform your financial life, then you need to treat this like the serious business it is. And serious businesses require serious preparation. Think about it this way. If you were going to have surgery, would you want a surgeon who studied medicine or a surgeon who just kind of figured it out as they went along? If you were getting on an airplane, would you want a pilot who trained for hundreds of hours or a pilot who thought they could just wing it? Of course not. You demand competence. You demand preparation. You demand expertise. So why would you treat your own money, your own financial future, with less respect than you treat your health or your safety? Why would you enter the market where you're competing against professionals who have spent decades mastering their craft without doing the basic work of preparation? The answer is simple. Because you haven't yet felt enough pain. You haven't yet lost enough money. You haven't yet experienced the gut-wrenching reality of watching your account balance shrink because you weren't prepared. And here's the beautiful thing about this moment you're in right now. You can choose a different path. You can decide that you don't need to learn every lesson the hard way. You can decide that you're going to learn from my mistakes instead of making your own. You can decide that starting today, you're going to be different. Not because you have to be, but because you choose to be. That's the power you have. That's the opportunity that's sitting right in front of you. And what I'm about to share with you in the next part of this message is going to show you exactly how to seize that opportunity and turn it into consistent profits. But first, let me address something I know some of you are thinking right now. You're thinking, this is all well and good, Jesse, but I've heard this before. I've made these commitments before. I've promised myself I'd change before, and it never sticks. What makes this time any different? That's a fair question. And the answer is simple. This time is different because you're going to understand the real reason you keep failing. It's not about willpower. It's not about motivation. It's about systems. Let me explain what I mean by that, because this is the key that unlocks everything. Every trader I've ever known who consistently makes money has one thing in common. They've built a system that removes emotion from the equation. They don't rely on feeling motivated. They don't wait until they're inspired. They simply follow their system. And their system includes preparation as a non-negotiable component. Let me give you a concrete example from my own trading. In my early days, I would wake up and check the market. If something looked interesting, I'd jump in. Sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. But there was no consistency because I was trading based on impulse, not preparation. After I lost my fortune the second time, I knew something had to change. So, I created a rule. I would not place a single trade until I had completed my morning preparation routine. No exceptions. Even if the market was doing something interesting. Even if I was sure I was missing an opportunity, I would not trade until I had prepared. At first, this was torture. I would see moves happening and I'd think, I'm missing out. I need to get in now. But I stuck to my rule, and you know what happened? My win rate started to improve. Not dramatically at first, but consistently. Because when I took the time to prepare, I was seeing things I had been missing. I was noticing patterns I had been too rushed to recognize. I was avoiding mistakes I had been making out of impulse. And over time, those small improvements compounded into significant results. That's the power of a system. It takes the decision-making out of the moment. You're not asking yourself, do I feel like studying today? You're simply following the system. And the system says, prepare first, trade second. Now let me show you what that preparation actually looks like, because I think a lot of traders overcomplicate this. They think they need to read 50 news articles and analyze 100 charts and become an expert on macroeconomics. That's not preparation. That's procrastination disguised as work. Real preparation is focused and specific. Here's what I do, and what I want you to start doing today. First, I review the previous day's price action. Not every stock, not every market. Just the positions I'm watching, or the positions I'm in. What happened yesterday? Did price behave the way I expected? If not, why not? What does that tell me about today? This takes maybe 10 minutes if you're focused. Second, I identify the key levels for today. Where are the support and resistance levels that matter? Where would I enter a new position? Where would I exit an existing position if I'm wrong? Where would I take profits if I'm right? I write these numbers down. I make them concrete. Because when I'm in the heat of the moment, when money is on the line and emotions are running high, I need to be able to look at those numbers and follow my plan. I can't trust my judgment in the moment. None of us can. That's not a weakness. That's just human nature. The traders who win are the ones who plan for their own emotional reactions and build systems to overcome them. Third, I review my rules. Not because I've forgotten them, but because I need to remind myself before every trading session what I've committed to do. I don't chase trades. I don't revenge trade. I don't increase my position size after a win or a loss. I follow my system. These are the rules I've established based on years of painful experience, and I need to recite them to myself before I start trading. It's like an athlete visualizing their performance before a game. It's mental preparation. And in trading, the mental game is 90% of the battle. If you can't control your mind, you can't control your trades. And if you can't control your trades, you're going to lose money. It's that simple. This entire process, from start to finish, takes me about 30 to 40 minutes. That's all. Not hours, not a whole weekend. 40 minutes a day. And that 40 minutes makes the difference between being a consistently profitable trader and being someone who's always wondering why they can't quite seem to make it work. So when you tell yourself you don't have time to prepare, what you're really saying is, I don't value my money enough to invest 40 minutes a day protecting it. And if that's your attitude, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. You're going to lose money. Maybe not today, maybe not this week, but eventually, the market is going to expose your lack of preparation, and it's going to be expensive. Let me tell you about a trader I knew years ago. Brilliant guy, probably smarter than I ever was. Could read a tape faster than anyone I'd ever seen. Had an intuitive feel for the market that was genuinely impressive. But he had one fatal flaw. He thought his natural talent was enough. He didn't prepare. He didn't keep a journal. He didn't review his trades. He just relied on his instincts. And for a while, it worked. He made money. He got confident. He started taking bigger positions. And then one day, the market changed. The patterns he'd been relying on stopped working. And because he hadn't been preparing, because he hadn't been studying, he didn't recognize what was happening until it was too late. He lost everything. Not because he wasn't smart enough, but because he thought he was above the basic work of preparation. I don't want that to be your story. I don't want you to be the trader who looks back 5 years from now and thinks, if only I had taken this seriously when I had the chance. Because here's the truth. You do have the chance. Right now, today, this moment. You can decide right now that you're going to be different. You can decide that you're going to build the habits that successful traders have. You can decide that you're going to do the boring, unglamorous work that nobody sees. And if you make that decision, if you truly commit to it, I promise you that 6 months from now, a year from now, you're going to look back on this moment as the turning point. The moment when everything changed. But you have to actually do it. You can't just think about doing it. You can't just intend to do it. You have to actually sit down, open your journal, look at your charts, and do the work. Today. Not tomorrow, not next weekend, today. Because every day you delay is another day you're trading at a disadvantage. Every day you don't prepare is another day you're giving money away to traders who did prepare. And the market doesn't care about your potential. It doesn't care about what you could do if you just got serious. It only cares about what you actually do. And what you actually do is reflected in your account balance. That's the only scoreboard that matters. That's the only measure of whether you're actually improving or just telling yourself comfortable lies. So here's what I want you to do right now, before you move on to the next video, before you scroll to the next piece of content, before you let this moment pass without taking action. I want you to commit to 1 week, just 1 week. For the next 7 days, before you place a single trade, you're going to spend 30 minutes preparing. You're going to review the previous day. You're going to identify your key levels. You're going to recite your rules. And you're going to keep a journal of every trade you make. Why you entered. What you were thinking. How you felt. And then at the end of the week, you're going to review that journal and see what patterns emerge. I'm not asking you to commit to this for the rest of your life. I'm asking you to commit to 1 week, 7 days. If you can't do that, if you're not willing to invest 7 days in your own financial future, then you need to seriously ask yourself if trading is right for you. And while you're doing that, make sure you grab those